probably written this exact program before. Maybe it was the first thing you ever typed in C++. But here's a question most beginners never ask. What does every single word in this program actually mean? Why do we write int? What is std? Why does this hashtag symbol exist? And what happens if we just delete one of these lines? By the end of this video, you'll understand every character in this program, not just how to write it, but why it works. In the next few minutes, we're going to break this program apart, line by line, keyword by keyword. You'll learn what the preprocessor does, why we need a main function, what streams are, and why we return 0 at the end. And I'll show you exactly what happens when things go wrong, so you never make these mistakes yourself. Let's start at the very top. This hashtag symbol isn't a comment, and it isn't decoration. It's an instruction for something called the preprocessor. Think of the preprocessor as a personal assistant that prepares your code before the compiler even sees it. When the preprocessor sees this line, it doesn't compile anything. Instead, it goes out, finds a file called iostream, and copies the entire contents of that file directly into your program. It's like saying, hey, before we do anything else, go grab this toolbox. We're going to need it. So what's inside this iostream file? It's a library, a collection of pre-written code that handles input and output. The name literally means input, output, stream. Inside, you'll find tools like cout for displaying text on the screen and cin for reading input from the keyboard. Without this library, your program wouldn't know how to talk to the outside world. It would be like trying to have a conversation with no mouth and no ears. Quick tip. See these angle brackets? They tell the preprocessor to look in the system's standard library folder. If you use quotes instead, like this, the preprocessor looks in your project folder first. Angle brackets for built-in libraries, quotes for your own files. A common mistake? Adding a .h at the end. In older C++, you'd write iostream.h, but modern C++ dropped the extension. If you see this error, now you know why. Every C++ program needs a starting point. When you hit run, your computer doesn't just randomly pick a line and start there. It looks for one specific function, main. This is the entry point. No main function, your program won't run. It's like a book without a first page. The computer literally wouldn't know where to begin. But what about this int before main? This tells the computer that the main function will return an integer, a whole number. Specifically, it returns a number to the operating system when the program finishes. A 0 usually means everything worked. Any other number signals an error. We'll see this in action at the end of the program. The parentheses after main are for parameters, inputs you can pass to the function. For now, they're empty. The curly braces? They define where the function's body begins and ends. Everything inside these braces belongs to main. Here's a question. What happens if we write void main instead of int main? Some compilers will let you do this, but it's not standard C++. Stick with int main. It's the correct, portable way to write your entry point. Here's where beginners often get confused. What is this std thing? It stands for standard namespace. A namespace is like a container, a way to organize code and prevent naming conflicts. The C++ standard library keeps all its tools inside this namespace. Instead of you using the keywords using namespace, we can also write the code like this. The double colon is called the scope resolution operator. It's how we tell C++ to look inside the std namespace and find cout there. Cout stands for character output. It's an object, a pre-built tool that represents the standard output stream. In plain English, it's your program's connection to the screen. When you use cout, you're saying, take this data and send it to wherever the standard output goes. Usually that's the terminal or console window. These double less than signs aren't just decoration. This is the insertion operator. It takes whatever is on the right in this case the text "Hello World," and inserts it into the stream on the left. Think of it like arrows pointing toward where the data is going. You're inserting your message into the output stream. The quotation marks, they define a string literal, a fixed piece of text. Without them, C++ would try to interpret hello and world as variable names or keywords. The quotes tell the compiler, treat this as raw text, exactly as written. And don't forget this little guy. The semicolon marks the end of a statement. Miss it, and your code won't compile. In C++, every complete instruction needs a semicolon. We've reached the last line inside main. Return 0. Remember earlier when we said main returns an integer? This is where it happens. The return statement does two things. First, it ends the function immediately. Second, it sends a value back to whoever called the function. For main, that caller is the operating system itself. Why 0 specifically? It's a convention. 0 means success. The program ran without problems. Any non-zero number signals that something went wrong. Different numbers can represent different errors. This way, other programs or scripts can check how your program finished. Here's something interesting. In modern C++, if you leave out return 0 in main, the compiler adds it for you automatically. Your program will still work, but it's good practice to include it. It makes your intent clear, and older compilers might not be as forgiving. Let's bring it all together. Line 1, the preprocessor copies the IOStream library into your code. Line 2, main is the entry point. Int tells us it returns a number. Line 3, we use cout from the std namespace to assert our message into the output stream. And line 4, we return 0 to tell the operating system everything worked. That's the entire anatomy of Hello World. Now, here's a challenge for you. What do you think happens if we write multiple cout statements, one after the other? Does each message appear on a new line, or do they all run together? Try it yourself and drop your answer in the comments. I'd love to see what you discover.